Hi everyone, welcome to Filipino Time. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Filipino Time. This is part 2 of our conversation with vintage lover and aficionado, Miss Annie Santos. Annie,
hi. Welcome back.
Well, yeah, we've been here the whole time.
Yes.
So we just finished talking about these wonderful watches, these 2 Omegas, and apparently 2 Carta Bears. So we want to move on to a few other vintage pieces, which I think are just as interesting. And so we'll start with this Le Colt, which is actually very, very interestingly designed. It's something I would not have seen.
The lugs are...
Yeah, they're very avant-garde, I should say.
Okay, so there's really a unique story to this.
Okay.
If you see, it only says Le Colt.
Yes.
Okay, so the story there is, of course, it's Jaeger Le Colt.
Yes.
So it's a combination of 2 watchmakers.
Yes.
And that's how they actually evolved. Now, remember my story before we're in, sometimes when they would enter a different country, there would be concerns about...
Yes, the names and how that would present to the public.
Another concern was the taxes.
Interesting,
so,
okay.
To also cut, if you're well known, of course, you will be charged higher.
Sure.
So what they do is they also try to change the name. So the Le Colt is actually the same as GLC, but this one is the one that they distributed in the US. So when you see the Le Colt, pretty much it's the ones that
it's an American release.
Yes.
Ah, okay. You sly dogs, you.
So it's original, but it's just to, I guess, avoid
additional taxes or whatnot.
Yes,
I guess they would have thought that Le Colt was an American brand versus Jaeger Le Colt.
Yes, and then the nice thing about this is they got help from if you're familiar with the Whitnauer brand, some of the American brands. So
Whitnauer, yes.
They were the ones who actually helped in the distribution of the watch in the US.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it's surprising that different watch brands would help.
Yeah, would support each other.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So this is one of my early purchases as well. I got it for a really good price. I couldn't say no to it. It's a power reserve.
Okay.
It's also a bumper automatic, so I'll let you try and shake it around and you feel the bump
there you go.
Inside.
Boing. You can see.
So bumper automatics are like the first type of automatic watches, and they're called bumper because they do not rotate 360 degrees. Yes.
They literally have bumpers in the end to sort of...
Yes, so there are...
go back and forth.
You're right. So they just go up to 300 degrees. So it's one of the more earlier type of automatic watches.
Very, very cool.
And it's also called the power reserve, a power wind actually for the Le Colt. That's how they call it.
All right.
So if I start winding this,
yeah, please.
You'll see the window below
red.
12. It's red right now.
And you got the little dot in the middle.
Yes. So when I start winding it, you'll actually see it turn white.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Okay, so it will tell you how much reserve you're actually putting into it.
And that would be what?
This is at 40 hours. That's
wow.
I think nowadays some go as high as 50.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the other vintage watches can do, but this one in particular can do 40. So now I'm reaching 40.
And now you're at full power.
Full power for 40 hours.
That's very cool. Also helpful that you don't overwind it.
Yes.
Which I've done before, sadly.
Ew.
I've done it to a Russian watch before and I ruined the movement.
Yeah, so it's gonna be hard because these are vintage watches, parts might be difficult.
Definitely. But it is a beautiful watch and that's a really cool... And what I like about it is that it has that, even when you've wound it to 40, there's still a little splash of red around it. So you can still get that little bit of the character, well, as if the lugs didn't give it enough character.
The lugs are just overpowered.
They are. But it's very cool. I mean, it's something you wouldn't see on a regular basis.
Yes. That is something that I probably won't sell.
I could imagine.
I
could imagine. But it's a beautiful piece, and that bumper movement is really, you can really feel it. I mean, you guys at home, I wish you could sort of feel it because it's it's kind of strange actually when you're.
And when you're wearing it in your, in your wrist, you could feel it moving.
It's very pronounced, the bumper, which is really, really cool. And we'll be cutting into, or you'll see that in the edits. You'll see the actual bumper movement in action.
An example, yes.
Yeah.
Another thing about the GLC is they have a very, very stringent testing.
Okay.
It's even more stringent than COSC.
I
So
see.
none of their models actually have any certification.
I see.
But simply because they believe that their testing is way more
Stringent, more stricter,
stringent,
yeah.
yes, than the COSC. So that's how they value, making sure time is precise
I see.
for their watches.
It's very, very cool.
So you can't go wrong with the GLC, and of course they're very familiar. They're very well known for their Memovox, which is
That's
their
right,
alarm.
alarm.
The funny thing is they are really well known for the Memovox or the Futurematic, I
Yeah.
think. But they weren't really the ones who started it.
I see.
But they did something really, better
Yeah.
for those kinds of watches.
And they became
That's
known for
why
them.
They were the ones who became known for such.
Speaking of being well known, Zenith is one of the most well known brands.
Yes, I love Zenith. I'm sure everyone knows it for the El Primero.
Oh yes, very much so.
Yes, so and its connection to the Daytona, things like that.
Yep, which makes it one of my favorite movements, the El Primero.
Yes, I'll be honest, when I also got this, I didn't know about the El Primero and all that. So I basically bought it for its aesthetics.
And it's a beautiful watch. This is a very classic looking watch.
Yes, it's another dress watch
Yeah.
by Zenith, and Zenith is really one of those brands that you just have to admire. The history that they have is really very, very interesting. So the founder of Zenith is
Yeah.
a 22-year-old Favre.
I didn't know that.
Hakut. Yes, George Favre Hakut. He's 22-year-old guy, young man who left the house
Okay.
kasi he was an apprentice, but parang he felt he could do more.
All right.
So he left to start his own company.
And he called it Zenith.
It was Zenith, yes. And then, anyway, I'll just do a fast forward. The interesting here is that when we were entering the Quartz Revolution,
Yes.
the parent company called Zenith Radio Corporation, of course, instructed the company to get into
Quartz watches,
production.
because that's what the fad was. That's what everyone's
Yes,
going into.
to survive, they
That's
have to
right.
adapt.
Everyone did it. Rolex did it. Everyone
Yes,
did
everyone did. So there was this one watchmaker from
Mm-hmm.
Zenith who, I guess, his heart is really in mechanical. Right?
Sure.
So what he did was, part of the instruction as well is to destroy all
Oh, wow.
the tools, the machineries to create mechanical watches.
it. Destroy the equipment.
Yes. So including
Wow.
the instructions on how to.
And this is before or after they'd produced the El Primero movement?
They have already started producing the El
Okay,
Primero
so the
movement.
El Primero was out, but they were going to destroy the equipment for what was, well, arguably, it's arguable, the first automatic chronograph movement
Yes.
ever made. And
Yes.
possibly the most famous
Most
chronograph
famous,
movement
they
ever
said
made.
it is the first ever. There is a debate with
Yeah,
that. I'm
that's
sure you've heard
yes.
about it.
It's
the first prototype
it's
is actually their
Seiko, yeah,
yes.
and Hoyer and
True.
who was Hoyer? It was
It's the other one. So it's just
Hoyer
in
and
the span
someone,
of
yes.
1 year, they're all claiming to be the
Correct,
first.
correct.
So this watchmaker named Charles Vermont, what he did was to hid all the instructions, the tools, all the machineries in the attic. So
Oh,
he didn't
wow.
say to the executive. So every night he would actually try and
hide stuff
and
and-
hide stuff.
Wow.
So in the 80s, there was already this, clamor, the return
resurgence,
of the,
yeah.
yes, of the mechanical. That's when he told them, I actually hid all the blah blah blah. So
I hope he got a
without
really,
him,
really
there
great
won't
retirement
be
package.
Any
No
El
modern,
Primero,
no modern El
day.
Primeros, no
Yes.
modern nothing. It would be, they'd still be in quartz.
Could be.
Oh wow! So he saved that company, as
He
far as I
saved
can
it.
tell.
He saved the El Primero. The 50th edition of the El Primero is actually named after him. It's in his honor.
Oh, it should be, Mr.
It should
Vermont.
be.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much.
For all the watch lovers, We thank you.
The hyperbeat.
Yeah, that's
The
right.
hyperbeat. Yeah.
So that's a really, really cool story. But if we're talking about old brands, I don't think there's any older than Longines.
Yes. Yeah. So the longest recorded, longest use of logo unchanged.
Even the logo?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know
so
that.
Ever since they started, it's been their logo. So for more than 100 years.
100-something years, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So if you will look into it, it's actually an hourglass with wings.
Okay.
Which represents what they were really well known before. They got really associated with aeronautics.
Yes, pilot's watches.
Yes. So that's why that is the logo. Now, for the Longines, it actually means the long meadows.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So it also wasn't called the Longines before.
Yes.
It was Sanmier, if I said it correctly.
Okay.
Eventually, they were able to buy this plot of land called
Longines.
Longines,
Ah,
which
so that's...
translates to long meadows.
And so if you think about it, Longines actually would have been a different name. So it's
Name.
older than the name of Longines.
Yes.
Okay, that's very interesting.
Yes. And Conquest was, I think, their first collection.
I see.
So that is the interesting bit about that.
How did you come upon this watch?
I bought it from a different page.
I see.
So this one and this one came from, sorry, the Longines and the GLC
Yes.
came from the same seller.
I see. Which is, it's amazing to me how you, because this is such a varied collection. I mean, Omega's here. Yes, they're all Swiss, but the kind of watches, predominantly dressy, but like the round ones here with the dome glass, and this with the lugs, and this is almost the flat face, similar to actually some of the 80s
Could be, or 70s,
Omega.
it's just
Yeah,
so
that's right.
yellow gold.
Yeah, that's very true. And the square, it's really, it's such an eclectic one, eclectic collection. But as a military fan myself, this one, as soon as you walked in the door, as soon as you opened up, I said, feast your eyes on what is possibly one of the greatest holy grail watches you'll ever find. One of the Dirty Dozen.
Yes.
How did you? Because okay, like when I was a beginner watch collector, which was not that much long before you, maybe a couple of months before you started.
Okay.
I never ever thought I would ever find one, let alone hold it in my hands. Like,
Me too.
okay, for me, it was the Benris was the easiest to find in terms of it's the most common of all the military watches of this this aesthetic especially, and I particularly like the McQueen, the Steve McQueen variant with the red hand and whatnot. But I thought that was as far as I would ever get to seeing or holding one of these in my hands. How did you get one of these watches?
We were very lucky to get hold of one. To be honest, thanks to you guys here at Filipino Time, we were able to get our hands on this. So,
how did it happen?
Okay, after the shoot with Vintage Watch Junkie,
yes,
Japs, apparently one of your followers from Taiwan owns this Vertex Dirty Dozen. And after seeing, because Japs mentioned about,
that's right.
It's really great.
Yes, he'd love to have one. Yeah, all of us would love to have one. Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
So we got contacted. Well, actually, he got contacted after that because he posted it on the Vintage Watch Junkie page.
Yes.
So that's how the person who sold it connected with us. So
he saw the episode and reached out to you guys, and he said, "Would you like to have this gorgeous Vertex?"
Yes. The guy is not really a fanatic of vintage watches.
Okay.
But he was particularly interested in the Dirty Dozen.
Okay, well, just
he
before
got tired of
before we move forward, for some of our less vintagey viewers out there, the Dirty Dozen is 12 different military watches from the same era, and it's 12 because there are 12 manufacturers.
Yes, that proceeded in the production of these watches. There's a bit of a story there as well.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. So please enlighten me, as I'm sure you know more than I do, and please enlighten the viewers. What is a Dirty Dozen?
Okay, so the Dirty Dozen, as how they're called.
Sure.
or well, 12 brands proceeded with the production
Yes.
of watches for the British
Military.
Army. Yes. And Vertex is one of those. So some of the other brands would be the IWC,
Yes.
Omega. You have some really, maybe you haven't really heard of, like the Vertex.
Yes.
You have the Grana, you have Timor,
Yes.
Buren, so all the others. Total of 12.
Yes.
Some interesting bit, there's supposed to be 13.
Really?
Yes. So
I didn't know that.
in the records, like they sent out to 13
Suppliers.
companies. Yes, parang a request letter. So it had the number of, your request number, sort I guess.
Yes.
So it was sent out to 13. The 13th brand is called Anycar.
Yes.
Okay, so
Known for the also known for the for their they're also known for the alarm watches.
Yes, and Diver actually. Diver's
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Exactly. So they were the 13th. Now, I guess they were doing all their, how do you call that?
Regular
checking,
production, yeah.
Or
okay,
they're
yeah.
checking into the brands and what they're doing. And one of the theories is that I think the allies thought they were doing watches for
the Axis powers.
Yes.
Oh, and they did not want
So
to
they
be
did not-
associated with,
Well,
or maybe
yes.
give I guess
So they did
technological
not
secrets or
proceed
something.
with their orders
I
from Anycar,
see.
and that's how it ended up with only 12.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. So the designs are all the same. The face.
Yes. Oh, the only difference is just the
dials.
name. It's just the
It's
name.
just the name.
Yeah.
So the Dirty Dozen, as it is already very difficult
Yes.
to find, to complete. Good luck if you can.
I've never even seen one. Like this is the first I'm seeing one of the Dirty Dozen.
So the rarest, as they would call it, would be the Grana because of the number of production. So
Yes.
not all of the brands had equal number of orders.
Yes.
The Grana had, I think, around 1,000 to 1,500
Oh,
only.
wow.
The Vertex has 15,000. So it's
It gives
quite-
you an idea of the difference in scale.
Omega had, I think, 20,000 to 25,000 orders. But the Grana has 1,500 max. So if you are a
And most of them were
collector,
probably
this
destroyed in the war somehow.
could be, that's another thing. So normally the collectors of the Dirty Dozen would have the Grana missing.
I
Because
see.
it's the one that's the smallest lot.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so it gets more interesting. Because the Dirty Dozen, when it was given to the British Army, it's almost in the tail end of the World War
Yes.
II. So obviously, not many were actually distributed or used.
Correct.
So they had a surplus of watches.
Okay.
One of the allies is also the Dutch.
Yes.
Now, right after the World War II, they were still at war with the East Indies.
Okay.
Indonesia in particular.
Yes.
So, they actually asked help from the British Army.
Yes.
Can you help us with, materials or, things that we could use
Yes,
for the war?
anything for the war
Anything
effort.
for the war.
Yes.
So, but the British military didn't want to help them out as much. And then they just thought, wait, watches, we have surplus of watches. I think watches are pretty safe to share, to give.
Yeah, not much technological
Exactly. So,
learnings from that.
They actually gave out the surplus,
Oh,
30 dozens,
wow.
to the Dutch army.
Yes.
Who were fighting the Indonesians.
So let me guess, there is actually a higher than normal chance of finding one of these in Indonesia.
Maybe. But before we get there...
Okay, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
It's the Dutch military who... Parang they call it a reissue to the Dutch military.
Yes.
What they did was to add an inscription at the back.
Okay.
So now it becomes more rare.
Oh,
to
such
find
a
one.
variant.
There is an inscription. It's a KINL, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, it's something that would represent that it's with the Dutch army.
I see.
Now, it gets deeper.
Okay.
More rare.
Yeah.
So, okay, they're in hand combat. I think some of the Indonesians got hold of the watches from those
Yeah, the Dutch
soldiers.
yeah.
What they did was to scratch
Oh,
the Dutch inscription
yes.
and replace it with them. So you will also see like a crude scratching.
Yes.
Okay, removal of the inscription of the Dutch
Yes.
army and then replaced with ARMI, which is the
Indonesian army, I guess.
Yes. So if
Oh,
you find
wow.
a Dirty Dozen
Yes.
with all of those inscriptions, because the Dirty Dozen is the 3 Ws, right?
Yes.
You have the KINL and you have the ARMI.
Oh.
Then that is, I guess, one of the
The rarest of the rare.
Yes.
Oh, wow. So if you had a grana that happened to be, that happened to be both KINL and then
the Dutch and the Indonesian inscriptions.
That would be the
absolute rarest.
Wow.
Of the Dirty Dozens.
If any of you have one of these, even just please just show us a picture. Please,
Yes,
I would love to see that. The case back.
The case back that has those inscriptions and the scratching.
My birthday was just last week. Make that your birthday gift to me. Show me those pictures, please. Anyway.
I'm happy with that one, but I mean to get
all
of those 3 inscriptions would be wow.
So is this gonna be the new direction for you? Because obviously you have a very expansive collection with very, very eclectic tastes. I mean, I've seen some of your divers watches and but are you guys gonna focus on looking for or completing the Dirty Dozen?
I'm not so sure if I could. I mean, if we probably chance upon it, I won't be actively looking for one. Again,
I will actively look for you. If any of you out there have any
Sure.
Dirty Dozens for sale, please look for my friend Annie so I can see them also. I get to see them. I get to hold them.
I do know of one person who's another Dirty Dozen.
Really?
Yeah, the cousin of my mom. He chanced upon.
Wow.
Yeah, he chanced upon it in Baguio. He lives in Baguio. So
Okay.
in one of those vintage watches.
Tito from Baguio, in case you get tired of it, please call Annie.
Um,
And so I can see it too.
yeah, so that is the first Dirty Dozen that I saw.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't think the vintage watch store knew what kind of
They wouldn't know what it was.
So imagine how much he just bought
Well,
it
most
for.
people, if they see this watch, it's actually
It's
not.
simple.
It's quite nondescript. I mean, it's got the small seconds and it's got the hashes on the side mostly for airborne use. But other than that, it's a very plain-looking watch.
Plain-looking one. Yes, so because it was designed really more for function.
Correct.
It's not really for aesthetic. So
Correct.
in fact, as they are being maintained by the British Army, they didn't care. Sometimes, they would just swap from, let's say, the Omega version, from
Yes,
the
yes.
DC version.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Just to make it functional.
Yeah, to make it run, because it's important to have a. I can imagine. Okay, at 0800 hours, we're storming that village. My watch doesn't work. I don't know what time I'm going.
So it's also not unusual, I guess, that if you open
Yeah.
the watch,
You'll have
see it
multiple
probably-
parts or
Yes, from other brands.
field repairs,
Could
maybe.
be. Another thing that they did before with the Dirty Dozen is they would redial it.
Okay.
So you would see versions that still have that arrow, that
Yes.
blood arrow,
Yes.
but no longer bear the name. And then you would have like
Oh.
numbers or like T inside a circle.
Sure.
So
And you would
They
know
still-
those are redialed for sure.
those are redialed. They're still Dirty Dozen.
Yes.
But they went through, I guess, more repair.
Yeah. Or field repairs, as they usually call them, just to get them running.
Yes.
Wow. Well, that's an amazing story, and
It has an amazing story.
we're actually really, really proud. We're so happy to be a part of that story. You're
And
really.
thank you to you guys.
No,
'cause
thank
we-
you. Thanks for coming out, Annie. Thank you so much, because we don't get to see stuff like this very often, and we're just so happy to have helped you out with this.
Thank you for that, for
And-
the opportunity.
No, thank you, and thank you guys out there for watching. Thank you to all the guys who not just appreciate the videos, but sort of pass it forward and help out with this wonderful hobby, and it connects people from different countries
Yes,
apparently.
yes.
So we're so proud about that. Thank you, Mr. Dirty Dozen from Taiwan. I don't know your name, but thank you very much. And Annie, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
I had such a lot of fun with this episode. I learned a lot, and I hope you guys did too. So if you guys have any questions or comments about, vintage watches, please leave them in the comments below. I might not be able to answer them. Maybe Annie could help answer them from time to time. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions,
Yes.
if any of you out there have any Dirty Dozen watches, whether you're selling them or not, I'd love for you to come on the show or just send photos. We'd love to see them. Actually, a great dream would be even multiple collectors.
Yes.
If we have 12 different guys who have each one of the Dirty Dozen
would
and
be
just
really good.
have them all in one room, that would be amazing. So if you guys out there, any of you knows anyone who has them, please let us know. And we would be so grateful and so excited to see them all. And of course, you'd be invited.
Yes, I have to be invited.
You don't worry. You'll be
And
the
I will
first
be
to be
there.
invited. You'll be the first to be invited.
I will be there.
So again, thank you everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And thank you again.
Thank you also.
And again, like and subscribe if you liked what you see. Comments below for anything you guys have in mind. And as always, thank you very much. Take care.